Black and white, rock and roll, salt and pepper. You know these type of phrases, right? They are called binomials or binomial pairs. Well, binomials are awesome and I just love them. Let me tell you why. First, they make you sound more natural in English. Second, you can express a lot with just 3 words. And also, they can help you stop using the same phrases again and again. Okay. By the way, do you know that English has more than 200 binomials? But today I have picked up for you only the top 32 from these. And these are the ones that people actually use in real life. Now I have divided them into 3 lessons. And this is the first part of my top 32 binomials which I'm going to share with you in the form of 3 lessons. So today let's look at my 10 favorite English binomial pairs which are most often used. So the purpose of this lesson is to save you a lots of time by giving you the most useful binomials in English. You're watching Let's Talk, the place to learn natural English, and my name is Michelle. Come on, let's get started. So guys, today's lesson is divided into 2 parts. The first part includes 5 binomials to talk about good things around you. And then we have 5 binomials to talk about bad things around you. Well, it's always nice to start with the good things first, isn't it? Okay, so the binomials to describe good things. You know what? There are a lot more positive binomials in English than the negative ones. Okay, so the first positive binomial that we have is safe and sound. Well, this means someone who is safe and out of danger. We can use this phrase when we see that somebody has come back from a very dangerous situation. So for example, you could say, I'm relieved to see you back safe and sound from the hiking trip you went on. Instead of saying, I'm glad you're back, you could just say, I'm glad to see you safe and sound. Okay? You could also say something like this. The inspectors have checked and the building is safe and sound from every danger. We can move in tomorrow. Okay, so this is also used to talk about buildings and not just people. So if an environment is safe, you could say that it is a safe and sound environment. The family dog had been missing for 2 days when he was returned safe and sound to his owners. All right, now that's our first positive phrase for the day. Now let's look at our second positive phrase for the day. Well, have you ever felt the need to just go to hills or the countryside and have a time away from the noise, chaos, and the stress of a big city? Well, you wanted some peace and quiet at that time, which means freedom from chaos and noise, basically a period of calm and silence after a particularly stressful time. So if you had a long time at work and you've been very stressed out, you could say that I am looking for some peace and quiet. So an interesting way to use this is either with the verb want or look for. So you could say that, why don't you all go and play outside? I need a bit of peace and quiet. So this is how you use our second phrase for the day. Look at my action. What do you see? Well, this action means that something is done and dusted. And you usually do this at the end of something. So if you're ending a project or if something is coming to an end, like it's completely finished and you're ready to go home, you could say that it's done and dusted. And this is mostly used with the be verb, like something is done or dusted or are done or dusted. So if you want to talk about accounts, for example, the accounts for a whole year, you could say now that the accounts are done and dusted for the year, do you fancy a pint? So what does it mean to say, do you fancy a pint? This means, would you like to have a glass of beer with me? Okay, so this is how you use done and dusted. You could even use it to talk about sports. So if one team has won the match, you could say, and that's it. Manchester United wins the penalty shootout. They won the championship. It's all done and dusted. Yes, so that's our third phrase for the day. Well, I have a feeling that this lesson is going to be short and sweet, which means it's going to be short but to the point. This means you are going to go back with some useful learning, right? So that's the meaning for short and sweet. Well, the first time I heard this phrase was from my school teacher. So we had an event at school and she had to go on stage and talk a little bit about our school. She went up on stage, said only 5 sentences, came back and said, there you go, short and sweet. Well, you could also use it this way to talk about a good meeting, probably at work, which was crisp and to the point. So you could say the staff meeting was short but sweet, which means it was quite to the point. Spick and span. Okay, so spick and span has a very similar meaning to neat and tidy. It just means what it means. It means something is absolutely clean, okay? You could use it as an adjective to describe a noun. So for instance, you could say, can you deliver my donuts in a nice, neat and tidy package, or in a spick and span package, which means which is clean and doesn't have any dirt on it. Or else you could say, Sarah's desk is always spick and span. Don't touch anything, she'll kill you. And with that, we're now going to move to the other side and look at some phrases to talk about negative things around us. So the first negative phrase that we have for the day is down and out. So down and out is used to talk about someone's condition. And actually it's used to talk about a bad condition. Okay, let me tell you who's down and about. So you know the guy you see begging in the street, he's got no money, no home, and he's not doing well at all. Well, he is down and out. So this phrase works like an adjective as well. So listen to it. You could say, hey, how's Tony? Somebody might tell you, well, don't ask about Tony. He's basically down and out. So here the phrase is used to talk about Tony's condition as an adjective. The next one that we have is wear and tear. Did I say it correctly? It's not called as wear and tear, it's called as wear and tear. I'm sure you've heard this phrase, but you might be making mistakes with its pronunciation. So imagine that you brought some new clothes, they are fresh, they are crisp and new, it feels great, doesn't it? But what about the same clothes a year later? Although you take good care of them, but they still fade. They get a little dirty and they just don't look as good as they did on the first day. Well, that's what you call wear and tear. You could say, I drive carefully and have my car serviced regularly to avoid wear and tear. Now, let's try to understand how you can use this negatively. So, probably if someone tells you, if you tell somebody, I love this book, I've read it about 7 times. And if you read it 7 times, I'm sure it doesn't look that great. So you might hear in return, yes, it's certainly showing some wear and tear, which means it's been a bit broken and it's quite used. So have you ever been in a situation where you feel completely helpless? Where you're stuck and there's nobody to help you. Imagine that you're traveling and you've got stuck somewhere and there is no means of transportation. So what do? You call up your friend and you say, hey, can you come to pick me? And your friend tells you, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm caught up. I can't come until 4 hours. And you would be like, hey, please don't leave me high and dry, which means don't leave me stuck in this terrible situation. So that's the meaning of high and dry, which means being left helpless in a situation. Also, another place where you can be left high and dry is in the toilet with no toilet paper. So you could say it was too late when I noticed that there was no toilet paper, leaving me high and dry. The next one we have is used to talk about a bad physical condition. So if you see that somebody is very thin and it looks like they are sick, then you could say, you're just skin and bones. What happened to you? That means they look very sick and very thin, probably because they've not been eating well or they're not just doing well. Another word to say the same thing is emaciated. So you have 2 options. Skin and bones is very informal and you can use it for your speaking, but when you're writing, you could use the word emaciated. Yes, that's also an interesting word to use. So you could use it like, look at that starving dog. He's nothing more than skin and bones. Or else, to talk about a person, you could say, your brother is just skin and bones. Has he been sick? And talking about sickness, I can think of our last negative phrase for the day, and that is sick and tired. So this phrase has 2 meanings. The first one is where you're bored and completely bored of something. So you could say that the boy was sick and tired of doing his lengthy homework assignments. So that's the first meaning, when you're completely bored. The other meaning is when you're annoyed, you're angry, and you're frustrated with somebody. So you're almost about to lose your patience, and that's when you can say, I'm sick and tired of you asking me the same question again and again. How many times I should tell you I don't want to answer it? So when you're annoyed with somebody, that's where you can also use the phrase sick and tired. So guys, that's all for today's lesson, and today you have learned some useful binomial pairs to talk about the good and the bad things in your life. I'm going to come back again with some more useful binomials. Till then, keep watching and please wait for it. See you soon. Bye-bye.